I used to make myself miserable just so people would love me. And I'm pretty sure if you clicked on this video, this has happened to you as well. Whether it was in my personal life where, I would fall back into patterns of wallowing and being sad because people around me were sad, and tended to just really stay into that sadness state and just ask themselves, why me, why that happened, and just I wanted to connect, and so for me that was a way to connect, sharing their sadness, sharing their depression, sharing their desperation was a way to connect. And it wasn't a healthy way, but I think a lot of the time, one of my mentor has said, we find ways to fulfill our needs, even if sometimes they're detrimental to part of our health. And so, for instance, sometimes when we want to fulfill our need for love and connection, we find way to fulfill it, in ways that are unhealthy, in unhealthy places. Whether it is, some people connect through maybe that's a one weird one to say, but brief connection, one night stands, things like that, even though in the long term it might make you sad if that's not what you're looking for, that gives you that brief connection. But there are definitely other unhealthy way to fulfill your needs. And so for me, the need for love and connection, sometimes just sharing in the grief and being swallowed by that grief when people around you are swallowed by grief, sadness, etc., was a way to connect. But then it would really dampen and make my mental health degrade step by step. And again, it's fine to have emotions like sadness, desperation, grief is a very normal process and is part of life. But I think when you notice around you that some people will not get out of it and it will somehow become an identity for them, or it will just become part of how they work, and you will naturally tend to do the same thing because you want to connect with these people, but you actually realize it's not good for your mental health, and usually it's not good for theirs as well, but for some reason they're okay with that and you're not, if you care about yourself and love yourself and want to take care of yourself. I think another role I've played in parts of my life was to over responsibilizing myself and wanting to save everyone around me. I think a lot of us can relate to that savior behavior where we want to save other people. And so for me, that has also come at the expense of my health, where I would be really present for someone and I would be really stressed and I would be really anxious and I would put myself in this reactive position because I was like, I need to always be present for that person if something happens to them, if they have a question, if they need my help, if they need mental, emotional support, whatever they need. But what about my needs? That was detrimental to my needs. And I think anyone who has supported someone with any type of illness, whether it's mental or physical, in my case, I have a chronic illness, so I've seen it in my partner and other people with me, you are going to tend, and I've been that person too, with other people in my life, you are going to tend to start to overlook your own needs, but you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't support people if you're absolutely drained. You're just gonna be drained and you're gonna start feeling badly mentally, physically, and then someone else will need to take care of you, and it's just that vicious circle. And so you want to break that pattern. But the reason we do this as well, savior, is sometimes for love and connection, is because we think we're gonna be more loved if we are always here for the people we love, and if we're always present, and if we always anticipate their needs, their desires, and if we're always here saving them, supporting them, and just carrying them through moments of life. But again, this is not healthy, and it is okay sometimes. It is okay sometimes to put yourself in that place. If something happens and one of your loved ones needs it. But believe me, I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in the people I've loved. in the long term, you will not be helpful to anyone if you do this while overlooking your own needs and then not caring for yourself, not taking care of yourself. You're just going to deplete yourself. You're just going to make yourself sick. You're just going to make yourself sad. You're just going to, it's a recipe for disaster. And I think the third place where I have looked for love in an unhealthy ways, it has been at work sometimes in the past, and especially with managers. Like, I once had a manager who was, I don't know, to me she was toxic. Like, she basically, like, we had a workshop at some point around physical safety, and I remember that I went through the workshop, physical safety, no, sorry, psychological safety, and I went through the workshop, and I remember ticking all of the boxes of not feeling safe psychologically at work. Like, I wasn't able to ask questions, all of these kind of things that are important for psychological safety. And if you're interested, look it up. I should probably recap and find again what this was related to, because it was really useful. If I had my phone, I would look it up. But basically, I just didn't feel safe with that person. But I was so determined to show them that they were wrong about me and that I was good at my job, and that that I just wanted them to be impressed. But I think I realized this wasn't gonna happen when one day we were having a meeting, and I was saying, okay, so I met all of my growth goals, and the person was like, that's not enough. And I was like, what do you mean that's not enough? Like, we set growth goals, we set objectives together, and I have met them. Like, what more can I do? That's not enough. This in itself, I think, was the last straw, but I should have seen the sign before, because I'm like, one important thing is you need to know what you are being judged on. You need to know what you are being, what your performance is being judged on, like how your work is being assessed. And someone who is telling you it's not enough when you're meeting all the criteria you've put together and is unable to tell you why this is not enough is just a sign that you are never gonna be able to impress that person or show them you're doing a good job. But outside of this, I think generally looking back on that experience, it just wasn't a good fit, me and this manager. And if I would have had the perspective, at least I like to think that if I would have had the perspective that I have today, if I would have known what I know today, I would have just cut my losses and said, okay, I know what I'm worth. I know that I am good at my job. I know that this is just an environment where the culture, and especially the culture that the manager is putting on the team, is not a culture that works for me. It's not a good fit. And that's okay. Not every place is for us. Not every company culture will fit with our values, with our needs, with the type of person we are. It's absolutely fine. Especially in my case, I am so lucky that I worked in companies that have had amazing cultures where my colleagues, managers were absolutely, they were absolutely awesome. And so I know that it exists, like what I need, what aligns with my values, my needs, my desires, my goals, who I am, how I work, exists out there. So it's fine to realize that you might have gone through a really lengthy recruitment process. It will suck a bit, but then realize this isn't the right company for you. But still, like, it is very important, I think, to cut your losses. And this is where I'm saying, when you are looking for connection and love in the wrong places, it will become unhealthy. Because in this case, I wouldn't say if I wanted her love, but I definitely wanted her, like, I definitely wanted her to be satisfied and to recognize my job and to tell me I was doing a good job. And the less she was doing this, the more I wanted and felt the need to do it. Whereas if I had seen this situation for what it was, I was like, it's never gonna happen. And second, like, I should not be looking for, that type of recognition in the workplace, because it's unhealthy. I probably should not be looking for it anywhere, which is what I learned now. I think I had to do a lot of work on seeing that my worth, I'm just worthy because I am, because I exist. It does not come from other people's recognition. It doesn't come from what other people think of me. I've had to do that work to detach myself now. Like, I have an absolutely amazing manager now. I feel very grateful, but I'm definitely not in that place anymore where I absolutely want that person to be so happy with my work and recognize me and validate me. I think this is what it is. I don't need that person to validate me anymore, which makes also the work relationship so much healthier, and which makes it easier for me to do a good job, to grow, and to just be happy and fulfilled at work. So I think those are just 3 experiences in my personal life and professional life, but I'm sure there have been more, and I can think of some other examples where I have just looked for love in the wrong places. And I have learned through these experiences that the first place I need to find love in is in myself. If I love myself, if I love the person that I am going to take better care of myself, and I am not going to let people who have bad intentions towards me impact me and my mental health. I'm going to be able to recognize behaviors that aren't okay. I'm going to be able to put up boundaries, because boundaries, oh my gosh, boundaries, I'll do a video on that. But boundaries, you're only able to put healthy boundaries once you care about yourself. You care about yourself enough to say, that is enough. So yeah. So I think the first place you need to find love in is in yourself. You need to build that relationship with yourself so you can be the person who takes care of you, who protects you. And that goes for your physical health, that goes for your mental health, that goes with your relationship with people, and being able to say it is enough when it is enough. And then also just building healthy love. And to be honest, like, this is still a process that I'm going through. I think healthy is potentially different from everyone. But one thing I've definitely learned is when you're able to love people as they are, and I've learned that because now I love myself as I am. I think I might have said it before, but now I've really developed a relationship with myself with I really love who I am today, and that really helps me to grow healthily, because I consider that if I stayed the person I am today, I would be fine with that, and everything else is a bonus, because I really like the person I am with all my defaults and my qualities. It doesn't mean that there aren't things I want to change about myself, but changing them is not a condition for me to love me. And so that is very important. Learn to love yourself, learn to develop that relationship with yourself first, and then it will be easier to love other people, and also to not go looking for love in the wrong place, or to not go looking for love in an unhealthy way, which again, like, is an experience of a lifetime, right? Sometimes you are gonna fall back into certain patterns, but what's important is figuring it out and getting out of it. So that was a bit of different videos, but building love for myself and finding worthiness in who I am today and in just being a human being has really helped as well with improving my relationship at work and in my personal lives as well, because now I don't go looking for love and connection in unhealthy ways or in ways that are detrimental to me. And that is so helpful at work, especially for people who have burnout and for high achievers who always want to do good and be recognized for their work. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions or if anything really resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. Subscribe and let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!